Live in Nashville, Tennessee. You are listening to the Nashville Daily Podcast. Nashville's #1 daily podcast. Brought to you by Think Nashville. Think Nashville. Think Brad. Think Brad. It's Nashville Daily Podcast.
Good morning, Nashville. I'm Stuart Deming, and joining me at the table today is Mr. Aaron Pennington.
Hey guys, how's it going? Before we get to the show's content today, we want to make sure if you think that you might be buying a home this year here in Nashville or Middle Tennessee, there is no time like the present. Everybody knows that the race is on to buy land here in Tennessee. And so if you are interested, make sure you text or call our good friend Brad Reynolds. You can find him at thinkbrad.com. Visit him on Instagram at Brad_Reynolds_Nashville, or just send him a text and say hello, introduce yourself, and say you want to get a nice piece of that Tennessee property at 615-856-3270. Make sure to say hi to Brad. Give him a call or text on there. That number is never changing. Or you can learn more about Brad. He's got some awesome videos over at thinkbrad.com. Also, today on our program, speaking of land, we have Masellis, kind of a terrible segue today, but land it has to do.
It's also
Valentine's
Day, guys.
Yeah, it is Valentine's Day, so happy Valentine's Day out there to everybody.
Happy Love Day.
But
there's not much history regarding that holiday here in Nashville.
Maris, welcome to the show.
Yeah, land is relevant all the time, you know? It's underneath us, around us.
Yeah.
Land is
it's above us.
Yeah, my mind, because you serve on the Tennessee Environmental Council.
I sure do.
And I've done a lot of work in helping you guys film on land. And
Or over rivers. That's a tongue twister.
Yeah,
over rivers.
So that was my very terrible segue.
It was great, and
Maris.
I appreciate it. Happy to be here, guys. Thank you.
Maris, just give, we're going to talk some Nashville, and then we're going to get into what you do. But before we get into Nashville, what is the 30,000-foot view of what you do here in Nashville?
Wow, 30,000-foot view. Man, spread Maris vibes, man. That's what I do. Really, truly, I think that it's most important for me. Like, I have a plethora of things that I do. You guys know this. I love fitness. I love the podcast that I'm creating with you all is sustainability focused and human.
Right here
filmed
in this
here. It's
studio.
In the Stewed. And yeah, that's in Tennessee Environmental Council and just different places that I've been working, different nonprofits I've been working with. And I love to serve people. So a 30,000-foot view is Maris Vibes is here for the people. I'm a connector. I'm an educator. I'm a storyteller. I'm a writer. I'm a speaker. I'm a singer.
Now, you originally moved here to Nashville to pursue music. We'll talk about that here in a little while.
Yeah.
And what got you into this nonprofit world.
So to increase the puns even further and to land the land joke that I was talking about earlier and the 30,000-foot view, we're going to talk about Nashville for just a second. So Nashville's just added a flight to Vancouver, a nonstop flight to Vancouver, which is pretty cool. I've been close to Vancouver, but not exactly there. I've been in British Columbia.
Never been.
I've heard Vancouver is like the perfect year-round temperature. It's
Ooh.
Is it really?
In the 40s and 60s.
Should we all move there?
All year. There's mountains,
Bring your passport.
hiking. You can go like deep sea fishing. Like I've just heard like amazing things about Vancouver.
So this will be from WestJet.
Never heard of them.
If you've ever heard of WestJet, congratulations.
Never.
You know more than most people.
Good for you.
Are they cheap?
Probably because we've never heard of them.
It's probably like a frontier type situation.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
This will start in May. It'll run Mondays and Fridays. This will end October 9th. So I guess there's like a limited time that this will happen.
I wonder if they're like beta testing it.
It's very interesting. They don't have prices on here just yet. Apparently, WestJet is the 18th largest online airline serving Nashville.
Online airline.
They're online airlines. So there are
airline.
over 18, or they're 18 of 18.
All
I'm
right,
not exactly sure how they fit in there.
Name the most. Okay, we have American Airlines, Delta, Southwest,
Spirit.
Alaskan, Spirit Airlines, Frontier,
Southwest.
WestJet. I already said that.
Oh, you did.
Frontier, Allegiant.
Did you say Spirit?
Yep. Okay. Spirit.
It's early.
I can't remember. I wish I had a list of flights.
I know.
Maris, you just flew recently. Who did you fly?
Delta.
I
Was
love
it
Delta.
a good experience?
And Aero something. It was great. Honestly, I love that they give you sustainability aspect. I love that they give you free headphones to watch the movies, but then it's constant. Like it's not like, hey, save your headphones and use them forever. It's like, here, I would have given. My second flight, I told the woman, I was like, don't give me any. I got my own. She's like, I would have given you another one. I'm like, why? Like why?
Yeah.
Because they have to please the wholesalers.
Oh my goodness, story of my life, guys. But no, it was a great experience. The staff is nice. Everything's pretty efficient. Both times I got the emergency exit row, which is always nice.
Is that preferred for you?
It is. There's a lot more space between you and the seat. I mean, you do have to pay attention. Some people are like talking and they're like totally zoned out when they're going over emergency stuff. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like, bro.
Especially
what
if you're sitting in those seats, you're like, maybe I should learn how to do this.
Yeah, let's like listen a little bit, like but maybe they're all really experienced. This is like they're all doing the emergency row all the time. But Delta was good.
Yeah, Delta. I've had good experiences with Delta, but I've also had very interesting experiences with American and United.
Oh yeah.
So, like, what?
Yeah,
How so?
Well, so I used to fly. What's the terminology?
On a plane?
When you're waiting.
Yeah, it's not a plane. No,
Standby?
Standby. Yes. So I used to fly standby for free for like 3 years.
I mean,
And there
Why not?
was times where it was really interesting. Like I would be delayed in an airport for 15 hours because they would keep pushing me because I was on standby, and that happened to me multiple times.
is it worth it?
No, it's not. Now it's not.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Back then when it was free, I'm like, yeah, this is worth it. I guess I'll just stay in St. Louis for another 3 days.
Nice.
But I'll just travel to like these random cities. I'm just going to go there and see what happens. But the most interesting, I have so many airport stories. There was a time where I was traveling on standby, and I went to like 6 different cities in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
And
Just for
all
fun?
6, yeah, all for fun. Yeah,
I love that.
All 6 cities, I was stopped, and I was searched, and they also did the bomb residue powder.
Oh my
What?
gosh.
All 6 cities. And they would put this residue on me and then have the dog sniff my hand. And I'm like, this is bizarre.
Good Lord.
You
That
were
happened to me.
targeted.
Yes, I was definitely on a list.
It's the beard.
Yes, most likely. Yeah. But the most fascinating story, and Aaron, I think you know this one.
It's unfortunate. You're white as a ghost, and they still it's the beard is.
I'm also a big guy.
Yeah.
Like
You think that's a factor for it?
I'm a very intimidating guy. And I know
So
I
the
know I
intimidation
Stuart
factor.
is the biggest teddy bear. I'm
yeah.
sitting with the 2 biggest teddy bears in Nashville right here. But yes,
it's-
you do.
But like I'm very intimidating, especially if I'm
Yeah.
like very focused.
Yeah.
And you've seen it,
Because nobody's going through an airport happy. Like through
am.
TSA. Through TSA, Maris may be the only person who's going through TSA happy.
I'm stoked. I want to make their day. I'm like, you guys rock.
I'll be. Oh,
not
did you
stoked.
go through the new, the new Grand Lobby whenever you flew?
Yeah.
How was that experience?
I mean, it didn't look anything like. I mean, it was weird because I didn't know where I was.
Did you miss the carpet?
I mean, I don't
almost
even
forgot about
remember
it
the
in the
carpet.
world.
So Fox 17 posted this photo of the international airport because they were talking about some flight.
Yeah.
And it was all the photos of the old carpet inside of BNA.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
all of the comments, there was like 200 comments. Like, why are you featuring a photo of the whole carpet?
yeah.
It's really important stuff.
The new machines. Did you go through the new machines where you
Don't have to take
you
off
don't have to
anything?
take out
You can't fit your bags
anything in your bag?
So I didn't bring a lot of electronic things with me
Okay.
because I had a carry-on and a backpack. I'm
So
going
it
to
was
Mexico.
it was just super easy.
super easy for me. I love not taking my shoes off. What was weird though is another person had to take their shoes off. Like one other guy, like a guy behind
That would
me.
be me.
That would-
I
yeah, that
yeah,
would've been
you would have
Stuart.
had to take
I
your
would
shoes
have
off.
to take my shoes off.
I don't
and
trust you
belts
or
off,
shoes.
And then they may have to take me to a back room.
Yeah, get naked, strip down.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to take my shoes off, which was odd. I was ready to do all the things, and they're
Yeah.
like, "No, you're good. Just walk through."
That would have made my day.
Yeah,
It's
I was
happened
happy
once
about
to
it.
me, like where I just had to put my bag in because I have all the electronics, and they just said put your bag in, don't take your shoes off. I was like, this is the best thing ever.
All right,
It
so
is
let
nice.
me get back to my worst experience.
yeah.
Aaron, you know this story.
I thought it was over, but wow.
No. So I was flying to Italy, and I was sitting in JFK, and I was sitting next to a guy, and I had no idea what was about to happen. And sitting next to him, I was talking to him, and his English was very broken. He was from the Middle East.
Oh.
And he was from the Middle East, and then all of a sudden on the loudspeaker, it said Muhammad something, something, and I just looked over at him, and just like panic overcame his face. Within about 35 seconds, there was a SWAT team, an airport SWAT team, surrounding him and I with their guns drawn.
Oh, wow.
This guy was on the registered like terrorist want list. And I was just sitting there chatting with him. And so I put my hands up and I excuse my language, I said, I didn't do shit today.
Yeah.
And they didn't end up doing anything to me. They arrested the guy. I had to talk to one. It wasn't an FBI agent, but like it was like a head investigator. He's like, why were you talking to him? And I'm just like, I'm just sitting here.
I'm
man.
a nice person.
I'm a human being.
Yeah, but that was a really fascinating.
Wow. I would have shit my pants.
Yeah,
I would have had an accident.
Having the guns drawn on you, you're just like, okay, this is
that's a movie, not real life.
It is. All right. So, Maris, let's get back to you. So you are doing a lot here in Nashville, as you said. You are hosting a podcast that is produced right here in the studio. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, criticalrootzone, right? You all have given me this lovely opportunity. It was a dream of mine to have my own podcast after I had a podcast for fun with friends of mine. We started a group called Zero Waste Trash Talk back in 2018 or so. I have really bad memory, like of all my years.
It all blends together now.
I don't know what happened when, but it was before
the pandemic. Things are just like
pre-pandemic.
We just need like a new AD and a BC, and it's before pandemic and after the pandemic.
Exactly. Thank you. I'm going to use that from now on. But pre-pandemic, Zero Waste Trash Talk was born, and this was out of nowhere. It was out of the blue. We were just a couple of friends, met each other because we were all passionate about the community and getting more information out about recycling and composting and all these things that I honestly was very novice in. Moving to Nashville in 2013, I was going through my own experience, starting with music. I moved here just to see what was out there. I moved from West Palm Beach, Florida. I got here with no idea what I was doing, no plan, no job. I had a friend that lived here. I sang at her wedding in East Tennessee, and she's like, come out to Nashville. It's super fun. You'd love it. And I really didn't have a plan. This was one of my Dixie chick moments where I like just got in my car and packed up all my stuff and was like, I've got everything I need. And oh shoot, I don't have any more money. I need to find a job.
What day is your 10-year anniversary? Because I know for Aaron and I,
it's somewhere in the
like
summer.
July. Something.
Yeah.
Mine just happened.
You know, it would be funny if we actually moved here on the same day.
Yeah,
it's highly possible.
That's very feasible.
Well, wait, if I moved here in 2013, August of 2013, I thought I was already. I'm on my 10th year.
It'll be August of 20,
which is very close to
this is my 10th year.
Yeah, so same for all of us.
Really?
Yeah, we're all applying for our locals card. We should go into the whatever office that is together and apply for our locals card.
Make our own up.
Yeah, I think we have our own office.
I think we just
go
make
down
our
to
own.
our other studio and
we'll just make our own locals card
I
and
never
have
thought.
everybody apply to it on their 10th year.
Yeah, perfect. We could do that.
Yeah.
How in the world did I stay for 10 years? I think the first couple of years were just such a journey for me figuring out who I was and how I was going to keep my head above water. I actually got really sick, I guess you could say. I lost my voice.
Oh.
And I came here to sing.
Yeah.
It was this very traumatic experience because I was like, God, I came here to sing and do music and I can't. No.
Do you think that was something to say to you, like you've got something else in store?
That and accepting that wasn't my only identity. Because I was so attached to this idea that I was a musician and I was a performer and I really wanted to connect with people in a way that was always my main goal, was to connect. And that was my skill, my strength. I thought, well, this is how I evoke emotion in others because this is how I express myself. And why not go to Nashville, the music city, and give this a try? And so when it didn't work out at that moment, right, because patience, consistency, deliberation, right? And my mom, she came to my rescue, and I just nursed myself back to health. I got my tonsils taken out. A lot of it had to do with the air, I think. And also I was just starting to teach kickboxing. I was serving tables and yelling.
And so the pollen. In
The
this
pollen.
area,
It'd be a very interesting study in that. And Vanderbilt has a good otolaryngology department. I wonder if they have studies on
I was
how
there.
many people are really like affected and their
because of the air
their
quality
voice
here.
changes or something like that because of their move to Nashville. It'd be
Which is
very
weird.
interesting to see.
This is the Music City, right? This is where we're all.
And we have the worst.
But what
pollen
most, people,
count.
what most people don't know is Nashville has the highest amount of condensed pollen in one area in the country.
That was a new fact
And
for me.
So the reason for that, and I wish I had a map to show you. So Nashville is in a bowl, and we're surrounded
did
by
know this.
high rim.
Yes.
So it
we're
all
like
just
at the
gets-
bottom
so
of
it's
it.
just
We're at the
trapped.
bottom of the bowl, so it all gets trapped in this bowl, and it just sits. And that's why, like, coming soon, because cherry blossoms are starting to blossom already, which is insane. It's so early. Usually that happens second week of March. Now it's happening the second week of February, third week of February.
We're seeing the bees out.
Climate
We're seeing the
crisis.
bees out. But the interesting thing about the pollen is you'll see it here, and you've seen it, is your cars will turn bright yellow.
Oh yeah.
Like 3 weeks.
Yeah, car washes love it.
Oh yeah. They're making,
Which is why I have a membership. I've never had a car wash membership
they're
before.
making,
Yeah,
they're making bank.
All the trees you park under to get the bird poop and the pollen.
Yeah.
That's pretty much.
There was
yeah.
there was one time in Second Avenue where these cars would park on Second Avenue for like multiple days. You probably remember this. I don't know how often you were downtown. But there was cars that would be sitting underneath Second Avenue, like these trees, for like 3 or 4 days,
They just
and they would just be completely covered.
Yeah, you couldn't even like
You couldn't
see
recognize
through
the
them.
car. It was insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
They started banning multiple day parking on Second Avenue.
Yeah, I mean, this issue I had no idea where it was coming from, and I just had to just accept it. And so the transition between music and then just doing what I loved, which was fitness. I moved here from West Palm Beach, and I loved CrossFit. I was really into lifting. I was really into that community aspect of being with healthy people and moving my body, and it brought me a lot of confidence to do those things. And so when I started kickboxing here in Nashville, I'd never kickboxed before, and I was so addicted to it that I was asked to teach like months after I started. And teaching without a microphone, because I fought for the microphone at Hotbox Fitness Nashville. You can ask Kyle, my boss. I fought for it, and we have it today, and it's been a lifesaver, but I was losing my voice from that too. And the
The constant screaming, and then
yeah.
loud music, and then the depression, because I was sad and I knew that something was wrong. I wasn't even speaking well, like speaking right. You could hear the emotion on my voice.
Yeah.
I wasn't speaking up like I am now. I was speaking like very low, and you could hear the tension in my chords. And I was serving tables at Whiskey Kitchen, and the music was always really loud, and you're just
Yeah.
talking nonstop about
Man.
menus and stuff. So I just made the best with what I had. But over time, fast forward 4 or 5 years, meeting Michael and Jess and starting Zero Waste Truck was out of nowhere. It was like, I knew that the environment was important to me. My mom's an environmental science teacher, and she was the one who always instilled this idea of like, leave it better than you found it. And we took in lots of people in our homes in my childhood, just students of hers and the elderly. Like it was open house for everybody. And sometimes I resented that as a kid. I was like, why is everybody here? Like this is my house. And just growing up with that, recognizing how important that was to making me who I am.
Yeah.
I started to feel an extra pull towards that after recognizing that I can do whatever I want in this world, but also what is it doing to contribute to society? Why do I want to sing? Why do I want to serve or kickbox or take care of my body? And there's a lot of ego in society today. It's a lot of me, my car, my house, my family, my stuff. And
iPhone,
me phone, my phone. And so this has been a journey for me figuring out how do I use my past, my life experience and my strengths and skills to make this world a better place. And podcasting was never at the top of my list. Didn't know anything about it. Michael had Zero Waste Trash Talk. Everyone thought we were a podcast. And we always had amazing conversations about sustainability and what was going on in Nashville and the community and the world. We thought, well, why doesn't somebody tape us? Or like, why don't we record this? And so when the pandemic hit, there was a lot going on between all the ideas we had, but the podcast stuck because we were able to do it remote, and we were still able to do it in a way that we could disseminate information that was connecting people to bigger ideas and solutions and problems like, current events, and also people doing the work here in Nashville. Tennessee Environmental Council came when we were making that group pre-pandemic. I met Jeff, the CEO, Jeff Berry, CEO of TEC, and it was during the policy and practice meeting at Shelby Park in East Nashville, where I lived. And we just went to have a good time, right? Just to meet people and see what they were doing. And policy and practice meeting is mainly, we just recorded it, by the way. We just did that.
Nice.
You guys were there, remember?
Yes.
Policy and practice just a little while ago.
I forgot that's what it was called.
That's what it's called. You were looking at me like,
There's been a lot.
I was like, I remember we've done a lot.
Well, we met also at the end of the year, another
did.
presentation that
We
I did with
at
TC.
was it the 50th?
It was the fundraiser.
25th or 50th?
The end of the
I
year,
can't remember.
50th anniversary,
yeah.
2 years ago.
Yep.
And that's where we met. I remember I
Yep.
wanted to steal some or buy some microphones off you. Steal them, buy them. But, okay, so the evolution basically happened between Zero Waste Trash Talk, meeting Tennessee Environmental Council, being asked to be on their board. That was such a monumental moment for me because I'd never been on a board before. I didn't even know what that meant, but felt very honored, very appreciated that somebody or a group of people could see my passion and how much I wanted to make a difference and was going to give me a chance to be a part of that. So I was asked to be a Lululemon ambassador. And if you don't know Lululemon, it's an literally universal international brand for athletic clothing. And they wanted to highlight me and what I was doing with the podcast Zero Waste Trash Talk. And when BLM happened, right, when all this started to happen with George Floyd, during 2020, there was a lot of heavy hearts. There was a lot of, what am I doing right now, and why does it matter? That was our thought process. What is Zero Waste Trash Talk contributing right now to this? And this came back later because Critical Root Zone, my podcast now, has a lot to do with human rights and racism and the social aspects of our society, because sustainability, which is this very fancy word for resilience or just how do we sustain life on Earth? What is the sustainable way of living? And I didn't understand it then. It was really hard to comprehend, but Michael was one who planted that seed. He's like, man, we can't talk about composting right now, like it's relevant, but I feel silly talking about it. And I was like, man, I agree, but how do we be a part of this solution here now? And we ended up kind of pushing pause, and we tried to get back into it a few times. And I think the vibe was heavy. The vibe was low. It was really tough to join and to see a future in it. And Michael ended up moving. Jess ended up getting a different job. And I was sitting here like, oh no, it's over. Like, I don't want it to be over. I love this. I feel fulfilled and purpose and got to keep this going. It took me like a year and a half, but I met you guys and I was encouraged to just do it, right? I decided to just put it out.
That's one
I
thing.
thought you were going to say just do it.
Just do it. Nike.
Just do it. And also,
Nike, if you're interested in sponsoring this,
Yeah.
email me. It's on the website.
well, that's how CRZ formed. And I had some really great mentors in the process that helped me develop some ideas. And, Critical Root Zone was a baby in June of 2022. And I am still doing it today. I got a little, I got some more structure going on for me. So
it's really cool the people that you've brought into the studio. Like the remind me of the name of the Lipscomb professor who does the river.
Well, I was about to say, Dodd, and then some of your guests.
Freeman.
Like, tell me some of your favorite guests that you've had on there, because you've actually had some really, really, really knowledgeable people on your podcast.
Thank you for asking that. So my favorite series has got to be People and Planet with Howard Gentry and Reggie Ford.
That one was good too. Yeah.
And I think you all saw that evolution, right?
Howard was fantastic.
Howard was great. Dodd was amazing. Bob Freeman was amazing.
Yeah, Bob and I jive. Bob is one of my favorites because he is one of my homies. He's one of my biggest fans, and I vice versa. So being able to have him on the show and talk about policy, which I think a lot of young people are intimidated by policy.
Well, and one of the things that I really admired is he talked very plainly and practically about things, and so more conversationally,
right?
Which was great.
And bipartisan, meaning he wasn't coming from a liberal standpoint, or he wasn't knocking on any of the Republicans either. It was like he was just talking about the solution, right?
Yeah.
How do we educate and encourage people
Yep.
to want to know more about this and to be more involved and to take responsibility for what they can. We talked about voting and how important it was, and then Howard Gentry being the criminal court clerk here.
Yeah.
I had no idea what that even was, you know? Like, what is a criminal court clerk? I couldn't even say it before. I had to practice saying it because it was so tough to say. And just knowing the work that he's doing for people that have been in the system and can't get out of it, right?
Yep.
No matter how they got into it, they can't get out. And that is the broken system in which our country keeps pushing into. It just keeps feeding itself. And finding the solution is only through conversation. And I think that is my biggest goal.
Through conversation and employment.
Oh.
So I think it's important enough, like, there's employees that are now starting to take strides and starting to employ in prisons men and women.
Oh, right. I think I was just
And
talking in
so-
general,
no,
but
just-
yes.
But in general, but that's one thing to fix the brokenness of this.
Yes.
is employment. But
Right.
then proper training in that employment.
And in order to get the employment, you have to expunge records also, and that's what we talked about.
It's very difficult.
And it's so difficult.
Like you and I met one guy once. He was in jail for 30 years. Maybe it was just me.
It might have been just you.
I don't. Yeah.
Aaron was there in spirit.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I just tell you everything like, immediately
Yeah.
after it happens, and I just think you're there.
That's
with it.
adorable.
So I met this one guy. He was in jail for 30 years, and then he got released, and he was just trying to like figure out what's next. All of the world changed, technology, computers,
Yeah.
all of that thing. So like the skills he had previously, like he couldn't be able to like really figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
Thankfully, an employer saw him and said, "Hey, like I'm gonna take you under my wing and teach you." And they started teaching him construction. And so it's just
Teaching them a skill.
like having that education value
Yeah.
when somebody is released from prison is so important.
There are
And
companies.
during.
Yes, and there
Yes.
are companies. I don't know it off the top of my head. Maybe I can get this info later. But there's a client of mine at the gym. Her name's Courtney. She works for. Actually, no, I think it's Ariel. Sorry, had to make that differentiation. But Ariel, she works with a company that does exactly that. They connect prisoners with the skills and people that can give them that. There are things like that out there, but I had no idea.
Yeah.
And it's a sales process. That's a whole partnership that has to be paid for. So I mean, it's business, but also the prison system is a business, and we talk about that in Reggie's episode because he writes a lot about that in his book, PTSD.
And Tennessee just read that with legislation,
Right.
didn't they?
Yeah, we sure did.
With the
article.
working inside of Tennessee prisons. Employment. There's no.
Is it a new bill?
No, we talked about this that the state cannot employ prisoners now.
Wait, okay, I wasn't even thinking about that. What now?
Okay.
What?
I thought that was what you guys were.
No. So from the state level,
Yeah,
they
from the state
can't
level.
bring in prisoners that work at the state level.
Oh,
Is that
okay.
is that what you're saying?
No, I was talking about
Well,
like.
this is a black hole, right?
I thought you were talking about like prisoners can't be work for
free. Yes.
Or
Still,
yeah.
in a sense.
well, in the
still-
prison,
it's still
they're making
slave
money
labor.
off of these people
Yes.
who are working for free,
or working for
Yeah.
$1.
working for a penny.
That's I thought the
Yes.
Tennessee legislation got rid of that.
Okay.
I
here
think it was the
recently.
wording in the article, but regardless, basically, this is an issue that most people don't even think about. That was the main issue.
Yeah.
It's like this is not something that people think.
It's not front of mind
about
for a
at
lot
all.
of people. Yeah.
And when you see something like this, it's over. Like for me, when I see or hear or learn these things, like I can't erase it. It's up there. And now I'm going to talk about it more. Now I'm going to ask more questions. I'm going to be more aware and more sensitive to it.
Yeah, and it's figuring out the approach of how to meet the lobbyist that is then going to influence the politician
Yeah.
to figure out all of this.
Yeah.
So I was talking to somebody. There's supposedly going to be about 2,200 bills this session. Not all of them are going to be read.
Did
not
you say 2,200?
2,200 this session for
That's a
Tennessee.
lot of reading.
That's a lot. But they're not. So not all of them are going to make it to the floor.
Right.
So probably less than 75% of them will make it to the floor.
Sure.
And when I mean floor,
still a lot of
that
reading.
means
Once-
Senate
yeah.
and the General Assembly.
Yeah.
And so, but it's just it is a lot of reading, and it's a lot of lobbyists that are involved in this, and it's a really interesting space to be in.
Yeah.
It is actually. I one of my goals this year was to go and see Bob Freeman at the Capitol at least once a month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm still putting that out there.
Nice.
It's gonna happen. This is something I think with my life and who I am. I don't have kids. I'm not married, right? And even if I did, this is still going to be my passion. This is still how I see myself contributing to the world. And so CRZ, with all the different people I've had on, we've talked about consumerism with Kristen Westerbeck and her new position at Nike. That was my very first one.
Yeah.
Got the jitters out with my homie. And then the second one was Bob Freeman, and we talk about policy.
Yep.
The third series, we had Frederick Cawthon and my friend
yes,
Sarah and
that's
Derek
right.
about,
Yes.
we talked all about cannabis because this plant, this magical plant, which has been given such a terrible label throughout history because of the politics involved with this, which is...
Well, it's really interesting. Before the 1950s, like weed was legal in the United States. And I don't participate in that, but the oil companies were starting to ban that because it was making plastics. It's really
There's so much involved in it, but
It's
we
really interesting
we
when you
dip,
start getting
right?
into the weeds. Yeah.
We dip into it, and I think sparking that little flame is really what I wanted to do. Is just, hey guys, like, what is the difference between hemp and marijuana? Because a lot of
like the hemp plant is so good.
It's
for ropes,
everything,
for clothing,
everything. You can make houses out of it. It can save us for sure. It is, and we talk all about that. Cannabis, and then we had the People and Planet, and most recently Professor Dodd Galbraith, who started the Sustainable Institute at Lipscomb University.
Yeah.
And he has so much experience in a number of areas in conservation and government and
river management.
river management.
That's the thing I was really impressed by him, is the river management portion. And we, off the air, in the studio, we're talking about what was happening with the East Bank and like what are they planning on doing with the river management and to prevent flooding and all that stuff. So
And I don't know a whole lot about that. See, there's still more to be talked about. There's still more to be let out.
Oh yeah.
Share the stories of that too. It's people's experience. I've noticed we aren't fazed by anything until it happens to us, right? It's like without that.
Until the problem is, a lot of people won't dig into it until it's at their doorstep.
Not all, but a lot. Majority, I think.
Yeah. So
And I feel that wholeheartedly. So the podcast was really such an outlet for me to connect and share, and I felt like I had these resources. I had you guys, and things are kind of turning in this way right now where I really want to focus on the audience.
Yeah.
Like it's very hard to engage with people about these certain things because I think we're all very intimidated to talk about politics, religion, and all these things when this is the core of our being and this is most important.
So you're saying that people might be able to send you an email and reach out and tell you what kind of topics they might want to hear about?
I would love it the most, actually.
Where can they do that?
criticalrootzone@gmail.com.
And then where could people follow you on Instagram?
So on Instagram, my personal account is The Maris Vibes with a Z.
There you
That's
go.
THEMARISVIBEZ. And from there, you got Critical Root Zone on Instagram. And check it out, see what we've been up to. And I would love to hear from you.
There you
Well,
go.
Maris, thank you so much for coming onto the show. Visit
Thank
Nashville
you.
Daily Podcast to learn more about Nashville, and head over to YouTube, Nashville Daily Podcast on YouTube, and subscribe.
Thanks
Can we do this
Maris.
again?
Yes.
Thank you for listening to the Nashville Daily Podcast. If you want to learn more, head to NashvilleDailyPodcast.com.
You can also follow us on social media at explore.nash on Instagram, Nashville Daily Podcast on YouTube, and explore.nash on YouTube as well.
The Nashville Daily Podcast is an Explore LLC production, copyright 2023.